This is Bliss Oasis. Change your thinking, change your life.
Before this, there's a day we had a very stormy meeting, and I was sacked. Though it lasted at Business Daily. Let me take you back a bit. But it lasted. So in the evening, I mean, the boss came and told me, Tom, you were very outspoken in the meeting, and I think the management feels it's time we let you go. So I got my sacking letter. So I went and faced my friends, my colleagues, people like Jim Onyango, Solomon. I told them, hey guys, I've been sacked. I was sacked because I was defending you guys. So, cheza kama nyinyi. So what happened? So what happened is, in the evening after they finished the paper, they all walked to the CEO's office and told him, okay, Tom has been sacked, and from what we know, what he was saying is the truth. So the guy asked them, so what do you want? So they told him, either Tom is recalled or tomorrow look for other reporters. We are resigning.
How many were there now? How many are we talking about? Welcome again to Bliss Oasis Africa, where we go out there to tell you untold stories of everyday people. Today we are lucky, we are privileged to have one Tom Osanjo. Tom Osanjo is a Kenyan journalist. He has worked for various media, most of the time as a correspondent. For those of you who may not know what a correspondent is somebody who is not really employed by the establishment that produces the paper, but he works out there. It's like a freelance. So we can call him a freelance journalist. But apart from that, Tom Osanjo has had challenges, like most of us. Everybody has their challenges. And he's going to talk to us about some of them. But before we do that, let's know who Tom Osanjo is. We know he's a journalist, but it is always start as a journalist. Anyway, help me in welcoming Tom Osanjo to the show. And karibu, Tom.
Thank you so much, Patrick. I really feel honored to be here. I consider it a very great honor to appear on your show. Yes, and I hope we're going to have a good discussion moving forward.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, and welcome again. And we know you've had some challenges, like during the COVID pandemic, you were a victim, if we may use the word victim, but you are patient, you really got an experience of COVID. Some of us, we just heard about it. We are all fearful that we might get it. We didn't, and we hope it's gone forever. You had an experience, you're going to tell us about it. But you also had a challenge in mental health, which you also tell us about. But right now, let's look at your journalism career. How did you start? Were you always a journalist?
No, actually, I trained as a teacher, a high school teacher. This is Moi University. I did my Bachelor of Education degree to teach CRE and Kiswahili. But even before that, I'd always had an interest in journalism. I think by class 7, before I did my CPE, I already knew I wanted to be a journalist. So even in high school, I knew this is what I wanted to do. When I finished my fourth form and went to Form 5 and 6, there was a challenge back then, Patrick, because you could not go straight to do a degree in journalism. You either had to do a first degree, then you go to School of Journalism, University of Nairobi for a postgraduate diploma in journalism or mass communication, or you go straight to Kenya Institute of Mass Communication and do a diploma in journalism or mass communication. Yeah. The only university that was offering a degree was Daystar, but it was quite a bit on the pricey side. So even when I was training as a teacher, I knew I just wanted the paper, but I knew my heart lay in journalism. I knew at one point I'd be a journalist. Yep.
So you knew even as you went to train as a teacher, you knew one day you'd be a journalist. You're going to journalism.
Yes. Yes.
But earlier on, when we were having a chat, you told me an exciting story of how after you graduated, you were taken out of your posting. I think you are posted out of Nairobi. Can you tell us a bit about it?
Yes. Before that, when I finished my Form 6, that was my very first time to get in journalism. The man you resemble, Pius Nyamora. In fact, for a long time, I thought you guys are brothers.
Yeah, Pius Nyamora was a
I-
brother of sorts. We even resemble.
yes,
We worked together. I had the privilege of working with him together before he
I'm,
went to the US.
I'm sure many people have told you this, that you people
Yes,
resemble in a way.
yes.
So, so when that time he was doing Society magazine, then
Mm,
I used to be a great admirer of his column, The Week in Parliament, which used to
yes,
come out every Saturday.
yes.
So one day I just picked a piece of paper and wrote. I had no shame on you. So I just copied his style of writing,
Mm,
wrote on a piece of paper, and walked to his offices at Tumaini House. And I told the secretary, I want to see Mr. Nyawara. Do you have an appointment? No. What is it about? "Oh, I want to be a journalist." She found it funny. And I
mm.
think Nyamora had us talking. So he came to the reception and called me in. I gave him the piece of paper. I sat there. So I said, by the third, fourth para, he started smiling. Then he told me, "You write very well." And he paid me 20 shillings for he
Wow.
gave me for fare.
20 shillings for that article?
Yeah, I think he called it fare, but for me, it was my first pay as
Wow.
a journalist because my
Okay.
fare back then was 250, and I bought myself a plate of chips at Muniri's
Wow.
and a very and, and a very and
Okay.
a very cold Fanta orange.
Wow. With that 20
Yeah,
shillings.
yes, it was enough. I mean, fare from town to Dandora was 2 shillings or 50 cents, so
All right.
it was a fortune.
Would you?
Yes. Now,
Yeah.
now back to the question you asked me. After I graduated as a teacher, my first posting was in Mandera, Moi
Mandela.
Girls High School, where I was going to teach.
Mm.
Back then, going to Mandera was quite an elaborate affair
Mm.
because of the roads, and back then there were bandits. Long before Shabab, we had the shifters on the road going to
Yes.
Northeastern.
Yes.
So what used to happen is that the government made arrangements with the Kenya Air Force that all civil servants who are going to Northeastern would get free ride on Kenya Air Force plane. It was a transport Buffalo, which used to go every Wednesday. So what you do is you go with the appointment letter and your national identity ID card, and you put your name there at the Moi Air Base. So you go. It was first come, first served. So you go, you line up. If you get a chance, you go to the plane. So if you're taking off, maybe you're dropping off in Garissa or Wajir or Mandera, you go your way. But unfortunately, it was just one flight per week, and there were many of us. Sometimes you get knocked off the flight. So for a whole month to go there, I didn't manage to get the chance. So I decided to go by road. So I went to Isli, booked my ticket. The bus was.
So you missed the flight.
Yes, I missed the flight.
But by road, it would take you forever, wouldn't it?
From Nairobi to Garissa was about 8 hours. How it used to happen, it used to happen back then is that you go in convoy. All vehicles leaving Nairobi, there's a place, I think it's Kasten or Rutani. This is in Mwingi. Now this border of Mwingi and the other side where now. So or you go there and you stop. So all vehicles, lorries, buses, private vehicles, NGOs, UN, all vehicles. So you'll find you're a convoy of 20 to 30 vehicles traveling together.
All buses?
So from but any form of transport.
Yeah.
Going to Atukasi, you wait for each other. Okay. And that's when that's when now you get armed escort, GSU. So there'll be a Land Rover in front and a Land Rover back, and then there was one that was just moving because it was just one way. Vehicles would be on both sides, left, right. So this Land Rover would just be moving in between. And it was funny if there's a call for nature, all they stop together. The GSUs run into the bushes, they take cover, and then you are guarded. Then you finish your business, you take off again. So you have
so how like the very first time you were in that convoy, how are you feeling? How do you feel? Was it an excitement, some form of adventure? Were you scared? Or how was it like?
I was young and adventurous. I think now I might not try.
All right.
To me, it was fun, but there was also the fear of the unknown.
Oh yes.
I mean,
that's what makes it more adventurous.
Yes, the first time in your life you traveling, being guarded by armed cops, and there's also that fear because there used to be attacks. Not on the sometimes the bandits would attack, so you never know what will happen. And actually, when the buses reach Garissa, it used to be a fun fair with the shooting and vigelegele. The old town comes alive.
When you arrive,
this is the time now. When you arrive in Garissa, this is now the time. Even fresh fruits, food is arriving. Newspapers, so the town come to life. People are shouting all over. The buses are hooting. So
and that is just halfway.
Yes, this is half, not really halfway. As I came to.
Yes.
So the next day, I got a place to sleep. The next day, I walked to the Provincial Director of Education's office. That time, they were called PEO, Provincial Education Officer.
Yeah.
And I walked to his office. I told him I've been posted to Madeira, and this is my appointment letter, but I've been trying to get there, but going there is difficult. Of course, he knew the challenges. Not many people would take the appointment. Many people would either look for ways to work at connection at TSC headquarters or whatever. Some even never even stopped going to teach at all if there was no way, because people did not want. In fact, the funny thing is my father was asking me, what did you do in college? Because back then, to be posted to Northeastern was seen as a punishment. And actually, in the civil service, people used to be taken to Northeastern as a punishment.
Actually, yes, yes.
Yes. So my father used to ask me, what did you do in the school that you get posted to Northeastern? No, it's just it's just the lack of the draw. I mean, it's just what came out. Yeah, so when I went to the PD's office, the guy told me, you know what, chairman, Mandera is very far. And you're still young. I don't want you to go through all this trouble. Because he explained to me, from Garissa to Mandera is almost the same distance from Garissa to Busia. It's very, very far.
Busia to where?
And like from Garissa is the midpoint, like between Busia and Mandera. So it's equal distance.
Wow. Same distance.
Yeah, that's what the guy was telling me. So I was very happy. I was getting, now I was getting, and they gave me a school right in town, county high school. So I reported there. And since I trained as CRE and Kiswahili teacher, Garissa is basically a Muslim place, so I was not going to teach CRE. So basically, I ended up teaching Kiswahili only. But I never lasted for long. I taught for less than a year, actually, because I knew this. Teaching is very nice. It's a good profession, but unless it is in you, it's a calling particular.
Yes.
People who don't have that calling in their lives are usually frustrated. This is the one, I think, who end up harming students and things like those. But people are born teachers, love it. I knew personally I can teach well, but it was not in me. So because I knew there was this burning thing in me. I wanted to be a journalist. So one day I just packed my things, got into Garissa Express bus, and I've never gone to Garissa again. So no, almost.
So what happened? So what happened? Maybe I didn't get it very well, but after a year, you said you were there for less than a year.
Yes.
And then did you quit?
I never resigned. I just walked out. I didn't write any resignation. I just walked out. And so I came to live with my brother in Nairobi. So my brother could not understand how do you quit a job to come and tarmac?
Yes.
And you have to be a journalist. You're not trained as a journalist. you're a trained teacher. Now you're leaving teaching. I don't know. I want to be a
So
journalist.
is this because you quit because you didn't have the calling? Was it so hard for you to continue teaching?
It was hard. It was number two. I knew if I don't make this move now, my dreams of being a journalist might never be realized.
Sure. You wanted to follow your dream.
I wanted to follow my dream because my dream, I knew I wanted.
So
to
you
be
walked
journalist.
out. You walked out
I
and
walked out.
entered another convoy back to Nairobi.
Yes, so the same routine.
Yes.
Now in reverse. Now it's from Garissa coming back, coming to Nairobi.
So you walked out. Did you tell your superiors that I'm walking out? I'm fed up and I'm
No. I'll let you. The good thing is, I don't know if it's still there, but by that time, people who are people, they call us upcountry people. Upcountry people, no, down country people who worked in Garissa. There was some brotherhood there. So long as you're not Somali, it doesn't matter whether you're Kikuyu, you are Meru, you are Kamba, Kalenjin. There was some brotherhood there. You just people just say Karibu because we were together in this. So you find a Kikuyu hosting a Kalenjin, they say this is my brother.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. I think that's where people, our politicians should go live there for some national unity. They can learn a bit. So the only person I told is the guy who was housing me because I've not gotten a house on my own. So I just told him, hey, I'm going to Nairobi. I didn't tell him I'm quitting. I don't know if I told him I'm going to try to get a transfer because this place is not. And the weather also was a bit harsh on me. And I made a mistake which many first people make when they go to Garissa or Northeastern. The classes used to end at we started classes early at 7. Then lunch break would start from midday up to 3.
Midday up to
3. 1 to 3. Because the in between is too hot. So at least at 3.
I can guess. Yeah. The weather in Nairobi currently makes up
yes.
Yeah, we're in those places.
Yes.
Does it remind you of that place?
Yeah, exactly. So for me, this is nothing. I have seen worse.
I can imagine. So here you are back in the convoy, and you have told your guys, you have told your brotherhood guys, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Did they escort you? How was it like, or you just?
No, I told them. I told only this guy who was housing me. So I just left the house in the morning. He was a teacher, but he got it was funny. He was living in meteorological department house. That's why he got out. So we were living there. So I just told him one morning, boss, I'm gone. So we left the place, and I came to Nairobi and started living with my brother. And he could not, every evening when he came back home, we would have this argument every day. That you are joking. Do you know how hard it is to get a job? How do you leave employment? But I knew I wanted to. A friend of mine who was my classmate in Form 5 and 6 was working at Step magazine. He was freelancing for them. He was a very good graphic designer. So he used to do graphic design for them. So then he learned that the lady there was the editor, Connie Kisuke, was looking for someone who could do editing and writing. So I went to present my papers and Connie accepted me. So I'd write features. Then sometimes she'd give me stories submitted by other contributors to do editing or rewriting. So that's how I got in.
So you left the fire of Garissa and landed a job in Nairobi. Was that a new magazine that you're working on?
No, Step Africa. Step had been there for ages. It was a Christian magazine.
The Step magazine.
Yes, it had been there for many years.
Oh yeah, okay.
So from Step, there's a time Nation advertised a position. They were looking for education writer. So they're looking with someone with Bachelor of Education background a bit of teaching, and also a bit of journalism. I applied for it. I didn't get it. It's actually David Aduda who got the job and later became education editor.
That was the education department, education nation.
They didn't have education desk then.
Yes.
I think that's when now they were establishing now. So it's David Aduda who got the job.
Yeah, I remember.
Yes, so I sat down after prayer one day, then I decided, I wrote a letter to Kenya Times. So I told them I want to be education writer. So they got my letter. Nobody got back to me. And that time, you know, when you are serving God, things just happen in mysterious ways. That time I was volunteering. There's a German called Solomon Gasheshe. Solomon was an elder at PCA St. Andrews. And Solomon had a sports program where you'd get the best footballers in Nairobi, give them training. Okay.
So you went to Kenya Times?
No, before I went to Kenya Times, I applied for a job there. In fact, I'm the one who came up with the idea that I applied for a job as a education reporter after I missed the one on Nation, which Aduda got.
Yes.
But nobody got back to me. So it happened that time I was telling about the gentleman called Gasheshe, who was running a ministry. It's called Sports Outreach Ministry. So to get young boys and girls good in football, and then you mentored them. We had a full-time coach, and then Bible study every day at Bahati PCA Church. On Thursdays, they are to the training ground. So he asked me to be the team manager. I volunteered to be the team manager for this team. So there's one weekend we went for a tournament in JKU.
What kind of was it a football team or what was it? So viewers, welcome back to BLISS OASIS Africa, where we continue with our interview with Osanjo. And remember, in the first part of the podcast, he told us how he'd been posted to Northeastern, and where, you know, he used to get escorts. They used to move in convoys because of the volatile situation in the area. And eventually, but that, you see, that was not his calling, because he kept on saying he wanted to be a journalist. And eventually he walked out of his job, came back to Nairobi and seeking employment as a journalist. And he came, his uncle with, I don't know whether his uncle or brother, he remind us, who kept on asking, why did you leave a paid job to come and look for something else, which maybe you're not even trained on? So welcome again, Osanjo. Start the story, continue the story from there. You came to Nairobi, starting to look for a job, a writer's job, a reporter's job. Tell us what happened after that.
Oh, thank you, Patrick, and nice to be back. As I told you, before I trained as a teacher, I told you I had started writing for Society magazine. That was being published by your friend, our mutual friend, Pius Nyamora.
Pius Nyamora, yes.
Yes. Actually, on Saturday, I was seeing a picture, Nation, from the archives when he won the Journalist of the Year, the Columnist of the Year, 1986. And I was like,
wow.
Yes, those historical pictures they publish.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I just walked into his office and told him I want to be a journalist, and he liked my story. And so even when I was training as a teacher, I knew where my heart was, that I was going to be a journalist. So even, and now fast forward, as I am now tamarking, looking for a job, a friend of mine called Edward Ondachi. Edward Ondachi is a pastor. I think now he's in Mavuno Church.
Okay.
Yeah, but then he was my classmate in high school. he was a graphic designer then, so he was working for Step magazine, the Christian magazine.
Yes.
So he told the editor, a lady by the name of Connie Kisuke, that this friend of mine who can write. Then Connie gave me a break. Should give me articles to write or a time to help her with the editing the submitted articles. And with that, I gained confidence in my writing. It's nice to be published. And then after that, as I told you, I volunteered in a football club. This football club was unique in that we were getting young boys and girls from Nairobi school, best footballers. And then we trained them on life skills. And we had a full-time coach, and also do Bible study at PCA Bahati Church in Eastlands. But then we'd give them out to other clubs. So there's a time we were invited for a tournament in Juja, JKUAT. Went there, then I decided to write a story about the tournament. So I took it, typed it at a bureau, and went to Kenya Times. As I told you, Kenya Times had Nation had come up with a post of education reporter.
Yeah.
I applied for it, I didn't get it. So I went with the same idea to Kenya Times. I told them I want to be education reporter because I have some little experience in journalism, and I'm also a trained teacher. So nobody acted. So this day when I took the story of the football tournament, I met the editor, Gary Oduor, finding me seated at the reception. So he asked me, where have you been? I told him, nobody called me. So he told me, come here on Monday. And then I started working.
So the interview, the application kind of you had written earlier on, which they had ignored, was actually to start an education kind of desk.
Actually, they had one headed by a guy called Mudhuri Nyamu, was the editor there.
Yes.
So I joined that desk. So I was there with Mudhuri Nyamu and a guy called Kaplich Barsito. Kaplich was then a student at Kenyatta University.
All right.
But weekend or wherever he had time would come to Kenyatta. So we were the two of us reporters, and Mudhuri Nyamu was our editor. So I started from the education desk, but later moved to political desk.
Right.
And before long, I had a favor from these editors. Before long, I was not a staff, but I was writing editorials. I think I'm the first correspondent in Kenya to write editorials.
All right. I don't know how you know that. It could have been others.
Okay. I've not heard of any saying so, unless another one.
All right. So how long were you at Step Magazine before and then taking that article to that
I was
sorry?
I was in Step for about 1 year. Yes, 1 year.
Yeah, so you just used to edit articles. I mean, used to write and edit.
Write and edit. I would get because it was a monthly magazine. Yeah, so I would write the feature stories and also help Connie. Connie was also training me on subbing.
All right.
Yeah, so I was a trainee reporter, trainee sub, if you can call it that.
All right. So after you didn't get this job or this opportunity at the Nation, did you get that idea immediately of going to try it Kenya Times, or you delayed it a bit and then did other things, or what happened? No, the duration.
No, actually,
missing the opportunity at Nation and getting into Kenya Times.
Yes, actually, I got the idea because by then I was already at Step. So when Nation sent me the regret that they picked David Aduda as the education writer, that's when I went with the idea to Kenya Times. So when I went to Kenya Times,
what idea did you get? Or rather, which idea did you take to Kenya Times? Because they already had a desk.
No, we are jumping the gun here. Right. I was at Step Magazine, training as a reporter and as a sub-editor.
Yes.
As I was at Step is when Nation advertised for an education reporter.
Okay.
Which I applied for and I didn't get.
Yes.
This time I'm still at Step. Yep. So when they sent me the regret, Remember the step, I was not a staffer. I was only paid on the contributions I made.
Yeah.
And the subbing con would just use a discretion. So I went to Kenya Times with the idea that I can be their education reporter. But as I told you, the application somehow got lost in between. Nobody
Sorry, because I understood like you are going to suggest a desk for them to start a desk. So you are going to be their writer, education.
Yes.
Okay.
They already had education desk headed by Mudhuri Nyam, who is also a former teacher.
All right. Okay. Now, you told me, you just said that you were the first correspondent to write an editorial. Can you tell us about
at least at Kenya? Come again?
Kenya. But can you tell us about your first editorial? What was it about, if you can remember? And how come they went to a correspondent to get an editorial rather than one of their staff members or staff writers?
Okay, it was a team. The editorial writers was the senior staff and the editors.
Yes.
So there was one day we called him Prof. Ngugi Njoroge. I think now he's
eventually went to Royal Media.
Yes, now he's at Inoro, I think. Yeah, he was one of our editors. So one day he asked me to do a piece for him, a political piece, an analysis. And Ngugi actually liked the analysis. And then another day he told me, Tom, have you ever written an editorial? I told him no. Okay, I want an editorial piece on you. So he told me these are the guidelines. These are the parameters, because basically we are a Kanu paper. You can't go praising Matiba or Raila Odinga.
You can go as far as you go, but then remember you have a leash.
Yes. You have to remember who pays your rent.
Yes.
So I'm really grateful to Prof. Ngugi Njoroge. He gave me the chance, and also the news editor Geridur, and Chris Odos. I think Chris is now a lecturer at the Technical University. So these people molded in not only editorial writing but political writing.
All right.
And soon I was sent to Parliament. There was restructuring. Tony Kago, who was the chief parliamentary reporter, got promoted to be the bureau chief in Nyeri.
Okay, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so Solomon Chenze became the chief parliamentary reporter, and I joined that team. So three of us, Solomon Chenze, Gladys Kemunto, and myself. Yeah, so I think I did about a year and a half at Kenya Times. Then there's some Muzungus who came. First they came that they were going to start a partnership with Kenya Times. They are going to inject money into the newspaper.
Are they the South Africans?
They are actually not South Africans. They're a bit shifty in their background. But later we came to learn one of them was American, one of them was British. The British was the MD. The American was the chief operating officer, a very big title. So we did actually the first evening paper. We were to do an evening publication. The British came with the British idea of having an evening paper. Yes. But we did only one copy, what you never quite picked off. So they changed to, we came up with the first business financial publication in Kenya called Business Africa.
You remember the name of the evening paper?
It was called Evening Sky.
Evening Sky, okay.
We did only one
issue.
One issue. It was not sustainable.
How come? I mean, at least we'd have done maybe a week or so. I mean, only one issue.
Yeah. Trying to get evening paper from Nairobi to Kisumu, the Daily Nation is already. The logistics could not allow.
I thought evening papers are supposed to be focusing on a particular area, like a city, not countryside, not a whole country.
Yeah, it proved a nightmare. Then then we were relying on Kenya Times to publish for us. And in the evening, when they're also busy with their own newspaper.
With the daily.
Yes.
Yes.
So it was the logistics, it was a nightmare.
Okay.
So that's how now
hadn't they done a kind of a research or feasibility study or something?
No, it was a fly-by-night operation. I think. Just
tell us about the business paper then.
Come again?
The business paper that they came up with after.
Yeah, because they were revolutionary in their thinking, if I might, looking in retrospect, because they realized there's no business paper in the country. Because all the business.
This was about when? About 19.
We're talking about 1998. Early 1998.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was the first business paper. We used to publish Monday to Friday. And we were focusing. Even if it was a political story, we look at it from a business angle. In Parliament, we would focus on the business side of it. And there's a lot. There's a lot of business stories in Parliament anyway. So here I went as the chief parliamentary reporter with Kurgat Marindan as the first news editor.
Yes.
But a few months into it, they did restructuring. So I was made the news editor. So I was the news editor as well as the chief parliamentary reporter. So here I am. I'm a news editor. So every morning I have to assign the docket. You go here, there, assigning the reporters and the photographers.
Yeah.
And also later in the afternoon, I'm in Parliament, especially Tuesday to Thursday when Parliament was sitting, or Wednesdays, I do both morning and evening. But I had a very good team, which I worked with in Parliament, yes. And the good thing I had it's one of the best moments in my working life, because I had very talented, very young people who are looking to make a name in journalism. Yeah. And when you're working with people who are hungry for a name, half your problems are sorted.
Yes. Can you mention some of the people you worked with at that time?
Yeah, of course. On the news desk, I had Solomon Chenze.
Yeah.
I had Odindo Ayeko, who later moved to sport.
Yeah.
Yes, I had Jim Nyango. Jim is now the spokesperson of the US Embassy. I had a guy called Benjamin Macau, who was very good in quotes.
Yeah, I know Macau. We used to move those corridor with him.
Yes, I had a lady called Joan Biwot.
Yes.
I had a guy called Odur Ogwe. He was a financial analyst. I don't know how he ended up in the newsroom.
All right. You are a teacher, so.
Look who's talking.
The same way you ended up there. So, because you said you'd cover Parliament proceedings and also be the news editor for the business paper. Were you then working for two dailies? Two newspapers? Or we can say you're actually working for the Kenya Times. I mean, the owners of the two papers.
Okay, by this time, Kenya Times, we severed links with Kenya Times. The partnership with Kenya Times did not work out.
Okay.
So Business Africa went on its own. Actually, we moved different offices from KICC to London House. So we were based in London House.
Okay.
So the news editor come chief parliamentary reporter was for the same newspaper. Yeah, so I was the news editor as well as the chief parliamentary reporter.
Okay, so how long did that newspaper last, and then what happened after that?
We had issues with these guys, late payments, and then so one day at a meeting, I just decided to side with my reporters. I told them I can't work when my reporters are being intimidated. Apparently for the meeting, I was supposed to be part of management. I didn't know. So
yeah.
So later the managing director called me, the CEO, and told me, you know, the path you're taking is dangerous. You're supposed to be on this other side. So, but I told him, these are my friends and their colleagues, and I've known them longer than you people. And in any case, what issue you are raising are genuine. So, you know, all this time I'm doing this, I'm the chief parliamentary reporter, the news editor. I'm still on the contract. I was hired as a reporter. So I went one day and asked him, so how about my raise? Then he told me, you know, some of the editors, they think you're still too young. You should not be paid the salary of an editor. So I found it most ridiculous. So I told him, I know you're new in this country, but at 24, Hilary Ngeno was the editor-in-chief at Nation newspaper.
Yes.
And I think they were paying him as editor-in-chief, not according to his age. And we had people like Tomboy and Zachary Onyonkas who are cabinet ministers in their 20s. And so I asked him, can I resign then from being a news editor and be back to reporting? Because after all, I enjoy reporting more. So he told me, yes, no problem. But I knew my days were numbered because already you had that loggerhead. And then as God had his own plans, around the same time, the Matiba family were now expanding the people weekly. They wanted to turn it into a daily. And the news editor, Mwenda Njoka, was tasked with assembling a team that would help to change the paper to a daily. So one day I get a call from Mwenda. So I'm going to tell him, Mwenda Njoka.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So to go to Westland. So I went to Westland. We spoke on the phone and Mwenda told me, I want to give you a job. We are expanding. Would you be interested? I told him, why not? So I knew at Business Daily, my good friend Solomon Chenze also was having problems. So I told him, now that you're offering me a job, why don't you also consider Solomon also? So we were called for an interview. We went and we faced the mighty George Mbugus in his office. Smoking away the good name of the people newspaper. Mbugus offered the job, but I don't know how the media works. Do you know, by the time we got the letter, we got the letter from at Westlands. By the time we took Matatu number 23 to reach Londra,
to reach where?
The CEO at Londra was where our employer was.
Yes.
Yes. This was early August. We were to report on 1st September.
Yes.
By the time we were reaching our office at Londra, our bosses already knew we have a new job.
Yes. How?
And we were sacked. It's still up to date, I don't know. But the thing is, within 1 hour, I had an appointment letter and a sacking letter. Both. I had both.
Same with Chenze?
Yes, both. The same thing.
And you know, those are, I'm not sure whether the internet was there yet.
There was no internet. It was there, but very, very limited. I'm sure by then the number of
and
the number
phone,
of
and the
cell phone was very expensive.
Yes.
So how they got
whoever might have told the bosses must have used landline.
Yes. So,
yeah, or came running or went running to the office. Anyway, this travel. So you had in one pocket you had a sacking letter, and the other you had appointment letter.
Appointment letter. So we stand outside the Londra house. Okay.
Before this,
there's a day we had a very stormy meeting, and I was sacked. Though it lasted at Business Daily. Let me take you back a bit. But it lasted. So in the evening, I mean, the boss came and told me, Tom, you were very outspoken in the meeting. and I think the management feels time will let you go. So I got my sacking letter.
Mm.
So I went and faced my friends, my colleagues, people like Jim Onyango, Solomon. I told me, hey guys, I've been sacked. I was sacked because I was defending you guys. So cheza kama nyinyi. So what happened? So what happened is in the evening after they finished the paper, they all walked to the CEO's office and told him, okay, Tom has been sacked. And from what we know, what he was saying is the truth. So the guy asked them, so what do you want? So he's saying, so they told him either Tom is recalled or tomorrow look for other reporters. We are resigning.
How many were there now? How many are we talking about?
About six reporters. It was a small operation. Now, which was like the entire newsroom.
Okay, so
where will you get 6 reporters?
So either you recall the guy or you walk out.
That's how I was recalled. I was somewhere in town. There are no cell phones. So we agreed, we met at a cafe at Kenya Cinema.
Okay.
So they told me, the boss has said you come back tomorrow. But I knew marked man, so I was actively looking for a job anyway.
It was actually waiting. You were there waiting for the new job.
No, you're confusing. This was earlier. What I'm saying is, earlier I'd been sacked before.
Oh.
At Business Africa. So when the reporters threatened to storm out, they were told to come look for me. So I went back the following morning. But I knew, so when Mwenda called me...
You already had a letter for another job, which was starting in September.
That's what I'm telling you. You are confusing. Maybe I'm done confusing you. Before this letter, I'd been sacked before.
Oh, you had.
There's a day, the day we had a meeting, and I spoke on behalf of reporters. So at the end of it all, yes, I was sacked. So after being sacked, the reporters walked to the MD's office. Yes, and told him if Tom is going, then we are all going. So they told him. He told them, okay, look for Tom. Tell him to come back tomorrow. So when I went back, I knew my time is up. So when Mwenda called with this offer, it was what I was waiting for.
Oh, I see. All right. All right.
Oh, now you get it. Yes.
So the offer came after you already gone back, after being recalled.
Yes.
All right.
So
you knew. All right. That's okay. So,
okay, now on the morning we were sacked, it was actually on a Friday. And then someone comes, so we say, now what do we do? Now we are atuna kazi nini. So some guy called Michael Kamau comes with an idea. But there's a big story happening in Machakos. So what is the big story? Somebody has organized a beauty pageant, but this time he's not looking for beauties. There's best legs competition. Being the young men we were, we said, this looks like a good deal to go to.
Yeah.
So we went to Machakos. Unfortunately, Mulu Mutisha, the powerful Kanu boss, had gotten wind of this thing. And he said, that's a very immoral competition. Yes. How do you get young girls to display their legs? So he banned the competition and ordered the DC. So we reached Machakos Ikuni Hotel, and we found a bunch of stranded girls with their beautiful legs. So we didn't get a story to write.
You didn't get a story. You didn't get a story.
Yeah, but that's how we moved it.
But you found the girls.
Yes, stranded plus their beautiful legs.
But that was a story anyway. It was a story of was a story about the suspended or cancelled competition ever written?
No, we wrote it, but now it was watered down because we wanted to do a color story.
Oh, yeah. All right. So who had organized that competition, by the way?
It was some guy in Machakos, or some entrepreneur. I think he used to organize these beauty courts. Back then, there were a lot of hotels offering Miss Ikuni Hotel, Miss so and so. So this guy decided to come up with a different, beautiful legs. But but I can assure you,
eventually then you went to Kenya. You went to People Daily.
So eventually went to People Daily.
Yeah.
And there I joined as a senior reporter and also as a parliamentary reporter. I was the head of the parliamentary team. And so with the time, I also started assisting on the news desk. We used to have that 10 days and then 4 days off shifts.
Yes, yes.
So I was working under Mwenda's shift, and somehow Mwenda had a lot of, he had confidence in me. So most of the time on our shift, he would let me run the show. So I was also like a news desk assistant, so assigning jobs. And so they gave me a good time. And Bugu's, as tough as he was, also had a liking for me. He said, I remember, my full name is Tom Joseph Boyer. I was named after Tom Boyer, the minister.
Yes, okay.
And Bugu's insisted, since Tom Boyer was his friend, I reminded him of Boyer. So he carried the liking.
Yeah, that's good. As I was telling Mugo Theori in an earlier interview, I also worked with at the People Daily for some time, and I think when I arrived, I think the time I had arrived, this guy Nani had already left, and I think you were the news editor at that time. When Najok had left, I think when Najok had left.
Actually, we left with Mwenda. What happened was, Standard were looking to boost up their parliamentary team. And I remember David Okwemba and George Munji came to look for me. They told me, Tom, we want you to come and join our parliamentary team. I remember they called me. The Standard offered me a job as a Corre.
Yes.
But then Mwenda told me he's starting his own publication, and he offered me a job as the news. So I chose to go with Mwenda as the news editor.
I see. Okay. So you never really went to Standard, for example?
No, I never went to Standard. I saw Mwenda's deal was better.
Okay, so what were you doing with Mwenda? What publication were you doing with Mwenda?
It was called Newsline.
Okay.
Newsline was a weekly format in the weekly review format.
All right.
A political weekly, yes.
Yeah, and because I think at that time there was still market, because the people having moved from weekly to daily, it was losing a lot of
there was no
stories that they've been covered. Okay.
Yeah, there was that.
But Newsline didn't also last long.
No, it never quite lasted long. It also went under, I think, production costs. Mwenda got overwhelmed because he was doing this out of his own pocket, and it turned out to be quite expensive.
Yeah.
And that's how I found myself at Pan-African News Agency as a stringer. Yep.
Okay. Tell us about Pan-African News Agency.
Pan-African, it was the information wing of OAU, PANA, but this time it was part of OAU, the Organization of Africa Unity. But by this time, some Libyans, I think the same Libyan businessmen who later came to own Oil Libya and the Grand Regency, pumped money into it. The headquarters is in Dakar, Senegal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then Peter Maura had just left to go to the UN. Peter Maura was the editor-in-chief.
Okay.
So, but at the time I was going there was some a guy from Benin who was the editor-in-chief. So in Nairobi, the Tavi Lokoko was the head. He was a staffer, but we were several stringers. I was there. There was Robert Otani. I think you remember the late Robert Otani.
I remember Robert Otani, yes.
Yeah, and a guy called David Jagongo was doing sports. So with the time they brought in a bureau chief, a Nigerian guy called Njoku. So and Tavi is the deputy. Then this Nigerian left, he got a job with the Africa Development Bank. So Tavil was promoted to the bureau chief. Then I got his assistant position. And then there I got chance also to do some very many international stories, traveling to Somalia, Ethiopia, DRC, Uganda. I got the chance for international exposure, international news writing, which went very well. Yeah. So it is from there that I left to be where the international organization where I am working right now.
And what are you doing now? What exactly are you doing now?
I'm a communication officer. So basically, yeah, just in-house, more of an in-house journalist.
Okay.
So basically, just doing.
So would you say at this point in life that your desire, your dream, your passion as a journalist has been met? Since you walked away from a classroom in those arid area of Garissa.
Yeah, I think I've gotten a chance to cover some of the major international big stories, but also for me, journalism, it was not a job. It was a calling, let's say like a priest.
Yes.
So even right now, when a big story is happening, some people still call me, Tom, can you give us your perspective on what do you think about this Kenya elections? And for me, I miss the yelling and the lack of law and order in the newsroom.
Organized chaos.
Yes.
Yeah.
That breakdown of law and order.
Yes.
So,
in the newsroom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So for me, you know, I meet some people who came to the newsroom, they got a job to be a PR somewhere and they're happy.
Yeah.
But for me, that longing, I still have that longing. Because I think it was in me, it was just inborn. The other day, our church has several branches. So I was talking to another lady. She's now the pastor in our church in Kisumu. Before she became a pastor, she used to be a PR practitioner.
Yes.
So she told me that those moments, once in a while, when she sits back and she misses those meetings, those pitching for a client, and then she told me, but I don't miss sleeping at 2 a.m. Yes. So,
okay, yeah, that's okay.
For me, yeah, for me, it was not a job, it was more of a calling.
No, it was a calling, as you say, which you even enjoy even up to now. And you are.
Yes, yeah.
You can't change
that.
Yes,
exactly.
Earlier on, as we introduced the program, we talked about other challenges, a few personal challenges we've had. And one of the challenges that is facing a lot of Kenyans and people all over in general is what we call mental health. And whenever we mention the topic of mental health, many people think you have to be mad or you have to be crazy or to be running around to be really, sick in the head. But apparently, we are learning that even a normal person walking on the road, it could be very unhealthy mentally, you know. So you can tell us about your experience, what exactly it was, how did you find out that you actually have this problem, and what exactly it was, and how was it solved?
Okay, what happened? Like many people, I know, because after I went public with my story, many people reached out to me saying, actually, mine was depression. I went through about depression.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't pinpoint what actually triggered it. Maybe it was things that accumulated over the years. And the worst part that I did not know that I'm going through depression.
Okay.
Yeah, but so one time I just went to Google and I checked this. I knew something was wrong with it because there are days I not want to leave the house or leave the bed. I just switch off my phone and I'm okay in darkness, and I stay maybe the whole day.
Okay.
No food, no shower, nothing. You're just there and you're okay. But then some days you're just happy. You don't know what's causing the happiness. But then I realized with the time that if I took drinks and lots of drinks, I would destabilize. I mean, things would, I'd get some normalcy. And before long, the depression had slid into alcohol addiction. So when I Googled what was happening, I thank God for my employer because we have a very good healthcare system. I went to the staff clinic, spoke to the staff doctor, and he told me, Tom, I'm referring you to a specialist. So that's how I ended up to see a psychiatrist. She's called Dr. Kitazi. She's based at Gakan Hospital. So she had me lie there on the couch. We spoke, and she confirmed what I read in the Google. That actually I have a clinical depression. And now
Clinical depression.
she was now, yes, and now she was handling two, because now there was the issue of addiction and depression. So I think they call it double diagnosis or something like that, those technical terms.
Okay.
What I know is she felt because of the condition I was in, I would have been going to see her on a daily or a weekly basis from home, but she decided that I'd be better off if I was put in an institution for better management. And that's how she decided that I go to a rehab center.
Oh, you have
So
to
that's
go to
how
rehab.
Yes, that's how I ended up at, it's called Tigoni. It's called The Retreat. It's at Tigoni. Yeah, I think it's owned by Dr. Jeng and another guy called Dr. Konji. I think they're owners. But they are very professional employees there. And I was there for some time. And that's how I managed to pull out. And when I came out, I wrote my story. It was a big story in the Daily Nation. It's online. And from then I got a lot of invites, people just inviting me to talk to them about health. Because apparently most employers would know if you have a headache or you have malaria today, hepatic, and you don't go to work if you're employed, your employer will know and you'll say, but they need malaria, and you'll go to hospital. Fortunately, when it comes to mental health, not many people know about, even the victim, I mean, if I may call it that, the patient does not know in most cases. You just find, okay, you're behaving strangely, or people around you will tell you, but then your behavior is becoming erratic. And also there's a lot of stigma around it. Things like depression, things like stress. Even if our African languages, we don't have words for them. It's only that wewe ni mugorokio, amefiatuka, amerogwa, whatever.
All right.
Yeah, so I've come to know there's a big need around it. In fact, I'm trusting God that maybe that's the new frontier. I want to, maybe I'll leave journalism once again. Now I just go full time into mental health. There's a real huge need. And as a country like Kenya, we lack the professionals. There are not many. And in cases where they are, you find they're out of reach. And in some cases, even people on the medical scheme, the medical scheme does not cater for the mental health.
Yes.
You can get sick. They can cover you for cholera or anything. But if you want to go see a psychiatrist, you'll find a lot of pull and push from the HR. So there's a lot of there's a lot of sensitization that needs to go around this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said you are at the institution for some time. What is some time? Is it a month, 3 months?
Yes, I was there for a month and a half. Yeah, I was there for a month and a half.
And so what exactly was happening? Was I giving you drugs? Were they just talking to you? Were you doing some exercises?
No, it's a very intensive thing you go through. You attend classes. Was mainly to do with mental health. You attend lectures on addiction and how to kick addictions. You get talks from professionals or people who manage to kick addiction. So like the whole day you have program. This time I go to this class. The second month you graduate to the next class. Then the third month, but they now say, okay, now you're free. You can go.
Okay.
Yeah, and then also the games. So it's a holistic thing, not only the mental but also the physical, and of course the medication which you take.
So are you allowed, visitors allowed to come and see you at that time?
Yes, there are visiting days where your spouse, your family, or even your employer can come and talk to you. Or visiting days, just like maybe school. So in that place, it should be the second Saturday of the month. After every 2 Saturdays. So anybody is free. But your doctor and your can come at any time if he or she feels there's something they need to talk to you about. Yeah, I think it manifests differently with different people. And that's why personally, even when I'm invited to give this talk, I'm always very, very specific. I tell them I'm not a trained mental health professional. So basically what I do is to give my story, what I went through and how I navigated with the help of this. Yeah. So the first thing, if you feel like something not okay with you, the first thing you should do is to check with a professional, a counselor. A counselor can come from maybe the church, or I think even mosques now they do have counselors. Almost all churches I know have counselors. You can talk to them. You can go to hostel, then you can a professional guide you better. But like in my case, I realized because it was not normal for me, because I was very lethargic. Even just answering a phone call, I was nikamanikazi mingi. I am not much into movies or series, but give me a good novel or a good book, I'm sorted. I can sit, man. But that time, even just reading a book was so much work. You can find it crazy, but there's a time actually when I was going through this, my phone got stolen, and I was actually happy.
Hakuna kusumbuliwa.
Hakuna kusumbuliwa. Kila mtu.
And the way we love phones, the way we love
Yes.
Yes. Okay. If you find yourself behaving or feeling strangely that you're not like you're not yourself.
You don't things that make you happy no longer make you happy. Yeah, you find this. I mean, it's not normal for someone like you wake up in the morning, you don't feel like eating anything. And it's and it's not that you are fasting, but we are fasting and praying over this. Okay. You are just.
Yeah, so that is how you came up with I think you have a special website which guides, which helps, gives the information also guides somebody can get
help. Yes, it's called www.lotusconnections. Lotus Connections is one of Lotus, like in the flower. Connections.
Lotus Connection.
Yeah. Okay. So here people share stories about mental health. People can also share their stories. And also sometimes even professionals come give advice. It's a voluntary thing. It's not a commercial thing. Okay.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much, Tom. We now know Tom more than just a journalist, because you are a teacher. I mean, we are told a teacher is always a teacher.
Yes.
But now you are teaching people about the effects or about depression and other stuff. And it's been a pleasure having you at BLISS OASIS all this time. But maybe you have one last word, maybe as far as mental health is concerned, or journalism in Kenya at the moment and the way forward.
Yes, two quick things. The other day, I got the chance and the honor to talk to editors. There was a boot camp organized by Gakan University. So the guy, the coordinator, Professor Nyabuga, George, who used to be managing editor at Standard, called me there to go give a talk. And all the things, and some of the people there were Wangi Mwangi and Pamela Sitoni. And on journalism, the thing I was telling them is if we could borrow a practice from the West, you find here if a journalist is good, shines maybe in parliament or wherever, does good political stories, within 2 years they're promoted to an editor. You find this guy has no experience at all managing people. All this woman or man likes is to sit behind his laptop and write stories. not asking "Mbona umekuja late" and those kind of things. It is not with him.
Yes.
So if any of the managers are reading this, my suggestion is to borrow practice from the West. Even people like Patrick Ngugi are still in the newsroom, not with any title. In fact, he's a writer, Patrick Ngugi, political writer. They pay you the salary of a senior editor or even the salary of a managing editor, but you do what, because that's your calling.
What can do best.
What you do best. And you find having these people in the newsroom, you have institutional memory. I was shocked that the guy was working in the library was George Mbogus. You'd mention a name and George will tell you, oh, in 1974, this guy did this, and you don't need to go to the library because he was there.
You was a moving library.
Yes. So because he's talking about things. I'm not very sure if you go to a newsroom right now and you mention IPPG, how many reporters will tell you what it was all about? Okay, with all due respect to the current reporters, but I'm just saying that when you send these people out there, the newcomers might not have that institutional memory.
It's true. True.
Yeah. So I think we should look into that part of the trade. On mental health also, the HR manual is very, very clear. If you are unwell, you call your immediate supervisor and tell them, today I woke up with a bad stomach, or today I have a bite, my ear, I have a serious ache in my right ear, I have to go see a doctor. With the depression or mental condition is totally different. Even making your own, even waking up and going to sit at the dinner table and having a breakfast is a problem. This is not someone who would call the supervisor and tell them, I'm unwell. And also, there's also the whole issue of stigma around it. You don't want to tell your boss will say, can we trust him? With a sensitive, yes. Yeah. So there's all that issue around it also, which the HR should also be sensitized about. Those are my parting words or parting shot.
Okay. Yeah, so thank you very much, Tom. It's been a great pleasure. We've done almost 50 minutes of this recording. That's the other one.
Thanks.
So it's been a great pleasure talking to you and learning more about your time in journalism and your other experiences. And yes, and about the depression and your website, you say it is Lotus Connection?
Connections, Lotus Connections.
LotusConnection.com or .org.
.org, yes.
Yeah, so viewers, anybody who is interested to learn more about depression, particularly through Tom's and other people experience, go to LotusConnection.org, where you can learn more about it and where you can also connect with the people who can also assist you in the same. So asante sana, Tom.
Asante, Patrick. I look forward to listening to the podcast.
You will. I'm sure you're going to also remember a few things about